Hi there, Natalie with you today with a new process video for Pinkfresh Studio. And today I'm going to show you a fun layout that comes together actually quite easily using the Noteworthy collection. And you're going to see that I'm down to quite a little bit of the collection left. I've used it a lot, especially when it comes to the paper. I've used quite a bit of the paper of this collection. So I'm going to take advantage of the bits and pieces that I have, and I'm going to use the Essential Classic Edgers die set to create big strips of scallop edges for my layout. So I'm going to start by with this light blue paper, and it's the one that has the cut apart, and that's all I have left of the paper. So I'm going to take advantage of that bottom strip to cut one of the edges, and you're going to see that I'm going to keep them as 12 inches wide, but the heights are going to vary. This is the thinnest one, but I'm going to say around 3.5 to 4 inches of each one of the paper strips. So all I'm doing is just trimming it to keep it kind of straight, and then I'm going to use the edger, in this case starting on the left edge of the paper, and I'm going to cut continuous scallops, which is what this die is going to cut, just to create that little movement on the bottom edge. And the idea that I had is, you're going to see the pictures I'm going to document is of my daughter, and my daughter can nap anywhere, especially in the couches in the house. She will sit there and magically you're going to see her that she dozes off, and if you go ask her, you go wake her up, she'll say that she was just resting her eyes. So I have quite a few pictures, especially because she can contort her body to sleep anywhere. So going back to the layout, all I did is I cut the first scallop, and then I'm going to move the die so that I can continuously keep cutting another scallop. They're just going to give me that wave kind of a cloud shape that I'm looking for. So it's gonna the idea came from when I started creating this, I had the curtains and I was thinking, it looks like the soft look of the roundness makes me think of clouds and so on. Now what I want to do is I want to make sure that I don't want to follow the same pattern of cutting. What I mean by that is I don't want to have the same location where the scallops are gonna end. So I want something that creates a lot of movement. And for that, I want to make sure that when I cut the second, or when I layer the papers, the scallops are placed at different locations so that they kind of meet the different corners and so on. So I'm going to use the first strip of paper that I cut with the die as kind of a point of reference to where I place the other ones. And I'm going to play like that for the rest of the layers. And I took it off camera and then just went and cut it. I just used, out of the set, I used the 4, because it's a set of 5. I used the 4 dies that had that soft round shape, just because it's going to help me with what I have in mind for this. So you're going to see that right now all I'm doing is I'm just playing with the position of everything. That you're going to see that all the scallops are cut at different I'm going to say pattern, because it's different, intervals. I don't know how to explain it, but it just cut in so that the scallops kind of hit at different points, and that's just gonna add to the movement on the page. So you're gonna see that these are the pictures of my daughter, and she's napping in all of them. I have quite a few of them. I can bring quite a few of them, but these two just make sense, especially because the way that they're placed. So all I'm gonna do is, now that I know where everything's gonna go, you're gonna see that I put them on the paper. I'm gonna mark with a pencil where they're gonna sit, so it's just gonna help me to add a little bit of color to the background. And I'm using white, right? I'm using smooth cardstock for this white, and I'm gonna add a little bit of ink to the background, and that's why I marked with the pencil where the pictures are gonna sit. And I'm using sky blue ink just because it does the tone of the blue paper, but it has more of a little bit of a gray tinge. So I'm gonna add a little bit of gray ink too, but just very, very little. So all I'm doing is using an ink blending brush. I'm actually gonna go in a circular motion on top of the ink pad. I'm gonna kind of collect some ink that way, and then you're gonna see that I'm kind of blotting the brush on a piece of paper. That's just gonna prevent from having that big smudge of the ink when I hit the paper. And then I'm lightly gonna go in a circular motion on the paper just to stretch the color, and it's gonna be a really light application. I don't want something that's gonna clash. I just want to add a little bit of color to the background just to break a little bit of the whiteness of the background one, and the second one just because I want the pictures that I'm going to put on top of it to pop. So that light application of blue is just going to make everything else stand out, and also it's going to bring some of that blue and that paper strip onto the page. And that's about it. This sets quite fast, so I was able to continue working. So now that I have everything ready in a way, I'm gonna go ahead and start working the layers. And all I'm doing right now is just adding some glue behind them just to keep them in place. Again, I'm gonna try to mix the patterns, and that's the beauty working with a collection, that the guessing game of, like, you know, playing with pattern paper has already been done for you, so everything combines nicely. All I'm trying to do is try to get a pattern something more solid, a pattern something more solid, just so that all the colors combine, and also you can see all the designs. Now that I am happy what that looks like, I'm gonna go ahead and glue it onto the page. And I chose not to stitch it just because I have quite a bit of paper. But what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna softly ruffle the edges of the scallops, especially of the top 3 paper strips, because I know those are gonna be above the picture, so I can kind of add some movement onto the page, also some dimension, just by slowly ruffling the edges, the scallop edges. And after that, that's all it's gonna take. All I'm gonna do right now is just go off camera and just cut the excess paper that I have at the top of the layout. And also I'm gonna back the pictures, and I want to back them just to make them stand out a little bit more from the background. So I'm using the 3x4 cut apart sheet from the collection, and mostly because this has a really solid edges on the cards, and I wanted something that did not add that much pattern. I already have the pattern already in the scallop strips, so I want something very plain. So I went with the blush tones of the collection, and I backed both the pictures with it. Now I'm gonna add the picture that's gonna go on the right. It's gonna be glued straight onto the layout, but the picture that's gonna sit right next to it on the left, it's gonna add a little bit of foam adhesive behind it. That's just gonna make it kind of pop a little bit more and kind of give me a little bit more of dimension and some movement. And it's just gonna add that little shadow that I always look for and make it less of a 2D page. I want a little bit of dimension. Once I have that in place, embellishing this layer was actually quite easy, and I took advantage of all the round edges and all the little scallops to bring more circular elements onto the page. And I'm actually gonna take advantage of all the little points where the scallops hit to add my clusters. It's starting with the yellow, and I really love that little yellow, I'm gonna call it like a button, like a big button I found in the ephemera pack that said Secret of Everyday Magic, and it just perfect plays with the yellow. And I'm gonna add the little bird that is kind of that peachy tone kind of blush right there, and I'm gonna actually kind of repeat the same cluster all over the page. So it's gonna be a circle element with a little flower or something. Before I continue adding the rest of my decorations, I'm gonna build my title, and I'm gonna place it right underneath the picture. It's gonna read Nap Queen, because that's what my daughter says. It's so sad, but that's the truth. So I'm gonna use a mix of both of the alphas, the large alphas and the mini ones, to spell the word nap in queen. I'm even gonna add an exclamation mark. In my Lanzo journal, I'm gonna go right underneath the title. And then you're gonna see that, like I said, I'm gonna repeat some of the circular element. So I'm gonna bring these are the cardstock stickers, and I'm gonna add one right above the title, with the like right on the bottom right corner of the picture, right above the title. And then I'm gonna bring that snapshots circle that's also from the cardstock ephemera, from the cardstock sticker, sorry. And I'm just gonna bring some of the blue that I have on the background and on that paper strip onto the top of the page. Again, like I said, I'm gonna add some sort of flower to each one of the little circular elements, just because I have that bird already in the first cluster that I created. After that, you're gonna see that I'm gonna add a few more pieces of ephemera. These are from the cardstock stickers, and I'm gonna add one of the things that I'm gonna add is actually enamel dots, and I don't have that many. I love enamel dots on layouts, so I've used quite a few of them, but I want to make sure that I play with the colors of the enamel dots in this case, just to make sure that I have all the colors of the collection in every single one of the little clusters. So in the yellow one, I'm not gonna add yellow enamel dots because I already have the yellow, so I'm gonna bring some of the blue and some of the purple and so on. I find that it was I needed to balance the bottom cluster, the one on the right, so I'm gonna bring that wooden button. It's just gonna make it a little bit heavier so it balances out. What you don't see in the camera is that I'm actually gonna add a little rainbow on that cluster, just so it makes kind of ties up the sides at the bottom of the pictures, and that's about it. I love how this turned out. It took me 45 minutes to put together, which is a plus. It always is fun when a Lego comes out really nice. It flows nicely in a small amount of time, and I love how this turned out. As always, if you have any questions, do not hesitate to contact me. Make sure you check the blog because you can see more details and also links to everything that I use. Remember that, like I said, you can ask any questions. Thank you so much for joining me, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. There's always lots of content being added by the design team. Thank you so much for joining me, and take care, guys.